Start.
10-4.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today with another wonderful event for our, another wonderful interview for our event. And I have Mr. Trent Loos with us today. Trent is a very interesting man. You're going to really enjoy this interview. Trent is a sixth-generation Nebraska farmer. He works with land issues, exposes land grabs from NGOs and the United Nations, also fights for property rights and exposes corruption. He also is part of this tour that's starting, the Arise America tour. We're going to talk about what he does, and then we're going to get into this tour and tell everyone about what is happening with this tour, what it's all about, and everything that has to do with it, okay? So thank you very much for being with us, Trent. I really appreciate you coming. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you and what you do?
Thanks, Clyde. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Although I think you should let people decide whether they like the conversation or not. You planted this seed. You got to like this.
They always like my.
Well, there's no doubt they'll like you, but it's me that the jury is out on. They've got to decide whether they like me or not. Don't be planting a seed. I'm proud to be with you. I'm also just honored to be a part of the tour. But first, just a bit about myself. I grew up in Quincy, Illinois, outside of Quincy, Illinois. My wife grew up in Sherman County, Nebraska. We live in the county and we ranch in the county that she grew up in. My family came from Germany to Adams County, Illinois in 1832 as farmers. And my sister has a home on our home place where my mother still lives. Lost my father 3 years ago to Alzheimer's. And my nephew is in a position to be the seventh generation farming the same land, Grayson Tedrow, in Adams County, Illinois, which leads me right into my first concept, Clyde, is that we have people now sitting in cubicles developing sustainability concepts for farmers. And my family's been taking care of that same land for 200 years. I'm wondering at what point are we considered to be sustainable? But that we can get into a bit later. I said that I'm a farmer. People tend to get hung up on whether you're a farmer or a rancher. We're all under the same umbrella. We do not at our place till any soil. We only own critters. We have 100 sows, 100 beef cows, and about 20 horses. And Kelly and I have raised three daughters, 23, 18, and 16. And absolutely the best part of life on a farmer ranch is raising kids and teaching them work ethic. And my 18-year-old just went with me to speak at an FFA engagement in Pierce, Nebraska this week. And she's pretty amazing in the fact that she always knows where east, north, south, west is, with or without the sun out. And she said, Dad, my friends don't really ever know what their sense of direction is. I really feel fortunate that you taught me that sense of direction. And we go out riding horses and it always be, which way is north? Because I got news, Clyde. We could lose our phone one day and not be telling us which way to go. So I think you ought to be able to read the tea leaves, so to speak. And I've taught our girls to do that and to remain as close to nature as we possibly can. I think that's vitally important for survival and thriving, actually.
Yeah, it's important for having a connection to nature, which we lose when we're on our machines. Our kids, so hard to keep these kids off their machines and off their phones and off their iPads. They're addicted to them. And when you take them, you try to get them away from them, they get really, really, angry, And so you can see right there that there's something wrong with that.
Well, I'm very fortunate that I grew up in the shadows of a father and a grandfather. Yeah. And my grandfather, Calvin J. Loos, born in 1918, he taught me that when you hear the frogs first croak in the spring, when the moon is not holding water, when there's a ring around the moon, when the leaves are turning, when the rabbits are running across the road, when the cows are scattered or whether they're gathering, those are all indicators of what's coming to with the weather. Wow. And I can't imagine growing up without that experience. And back in 1918, the internet wasn't real good. No. and neither was a weather radio. So you had to pay attention to what was going on for survival.
Right.
because you didn't want to get caught in a blizzard or whatever the weather incident might be. I just want to bring all of those basic common sense approaches back to life.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah. Again, it's this nature. It's who we are. We forget that in this world of technology. So yeah, it's an important thing. So what do you do in terms of I saw some of your podcasts
Mm-hmm.
where you're working with you explaining about the grab for land and people losing their land. What's happening in that arena, and what do you do there?
I'll tell you about that in a second. I first need to give kudos because I'm sitting here with you, which I do far too often, sit with folks and visit about the issues of the day. You introduced me as a sixth generation farmer. I'm kind of a farmer's husband, to be honest. She's out feeding and tending to critters and looking at newborn calves at the moment. And I'm sitting here visiting with you because we have some issues that I think are dire. I don't mean to sensationalize it, but when you look at a federal government that currently owns 28% of the United States landmass, state governments own 4.5%. So state and federal government currently own 33%, 1 in 3 acres of all land in the United States. And then you combine that with an executive order, which was signed on January the 27th, which had a component in there virtually to decimate oil and gas exploration and recovery. It had a provision in there, actually it's all in one paragraph, that says that we are going to add an additional 30% of the land and oceans to our portfolio by 2030 in the name of climate change and climate change mitigation. And then also in that same executive order, there's a net carbon zero bit of language. So all of those things basically say that property rights are on the chopping block. Oh, yeah. And if you take 33%, Clyde, and you add another 30%, that means that 60% of the United States land would be under the control of the government. Mm-hmm. And this doesn't even take into consideration the land easements that are already, because so many people wanted, when they heard about 30 by 30, they thought, well, the federal government owns 30% of the land. That no, they're talking about taking 30% of the productive land out of production. Our food system is already fragile. It's fragile because we have a just-in-time food system, which works fine as long as distribution channels are open and transportation is working. But we have a federal government and state governments like California demonizing diesel fuel. And diesel fuel is what, number one, produces our food. 1 gallon of diesel fuel replaces 500 man hours and labor of producing our food. If we continue to try to eliminate diesel from the fuel portfolio, who's going to produce the food? I'm going to be in a pretty good position because I do have 20 horses. I have draft horses. We can continue to produce food that way, but that's not what we want to do. Yeah. Clyde, the progress that's been made, and I want to talk about what we've accomplished in conjunction with where the challenges lie. In 1900, it required 10 acres of land to produce enough food to feed one person for a year. Now, if you look at the USDA will tell you that it took 5 acres of land to produce enough food, but you have to include in 1900, we had 0 tractors. And it also required 5 acres of land to produce enough food to feed the horses and the mules that were used to produce the food. Right. People tend to forget about that. So it actually took 10 acres of land to produce enough food to feed one person for a year. Thanks to science, technology, the energy structure, everything that we have in place, in 2021, it takes less than 1/3 of an acre to produce enough food to feed one person for a year. That's the project that we have made. And in 100 days, we've tried to turn around every bit of that progress and put people back into nearly a subsistence type of living, when if you don't grow it, you don't know when you might get it. That's dangerous. Well, the true irony of all of this is it's not the United States that's polluting the world. It's Southeast Asia, it's China, and all these countries that are they're all producing all the coal plants, not us. And it's so most of the pollution is not coming from the United States, and hasn't been for a long time. I'm sure you know that fact, right? And I don't think most people realize it. So what they're trying to do is shut America down. And with all this climate change stuff, when we're producing
much less of the pollution in the world than these other countries are.
And spot on, take that one step further. Who tells us that we're polluting the earth? Mainstream media.
Yeah.
You can find ownership in every mainstream outlet back to China.
Mm-hmm.
And so the very country that is polluting, the greatest polluter on earth, is also owns the media outlets that tells us we need to control our pollution.
Right.
But see, back to that executive order and the 30 by 30, the language actually says that we're going to return it to its natural state. Well, its natural state is destructive. In fact, in the western states, Nevada being 87% owned by the federal government, they've been working on this type of an approach for quite some time. And in 2017, there was one fire in Elko County, Nevada, that burned 1 million acres. And it's very well documented. The EPA even will verify this, that fire put more particulate matter and pollutants into the atmosphere than the top 10 oil companies did for a 10-year period of time combined. Why did the fire happen? The fire happened because we've been reducing logging, because we've been reducing, Elko County is a great grazing state. We've reduced the number of animal units in grazing, increasing the fuel load, increasing the pollution. The answer is more animals. The more animals that we have, the more plants that we need, the more the plants actually feed off of what other people think are pollutants, greenhouse gases. And this, it's called the cycle of life. It's the way God created it. And here we are trying to screw it up.
Yeah. 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 It's amazing. You know, Robert F. Kennedy, I have this quote in my book, Common Sense Revisited, once said that in terms of the environment, he's an environmental lawyer. Before he got into the vaccines, he was an environmental lawyer. That the government, the US government, is the single largest polluter in the country and probably in the world. And why would we trust the federal government to solve our environmental problems?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really good question, isn't it?
I've got an interesting history with Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Mm-hmm.
We met for the first time in Clear Lake, Iowa in 2002. He was hosting a Waterkeepers Alliance Hog Summit.
Mm-hmm.
And we went toe for toe and we went to task because some of the things he was saying just didn't set well with me. In particular, he made a statement that what's happening on U.S. farms is a greater threat to democracy than Osama bin Laden. Months after the attack of 9/11, a lot of waters passed under the bridge, and we had a 2-year stint where we were at events together, and he actually started introducing me at events. And he talks about me in the first chapter of his book, and the first chapter of my book is all about our interaction. And so we were pretty much adversaries coming to each other. And strangely enough, 2021 has brought us back together, Clyde, and we've been working together on these atrocities that the federal government is bringing down upon its people. And so it just kind of shows you that sometimes people that you think are your adversaries can be your best allies if you stay focused on what's important. And what's important is putting power in the people, not the entities, the corporations and the government. And so now Robert and I communicate pretty regularly about how we can shed light on this true clear and present danger right now. And that is a coronavirus vaccine, which does not even classify as a vaccine in any way, shape, or form by definition.
No, it's not a vaccine. It's gene therapy of some
Correct.
kind. And we still don't know exactly what it's doing, but it apparently is, from what the 4 doctors that I listened to yesterday, Tenpenny, Merritt, Northrop, and Madej, is making the vaccine. The people who are getting vaccinated are transmitting something afterwards, which is making them dangerous. Have you seen that latest?
They're shedding T protein cells, which is infecting people around them. And that's a whole new concept. Clyde, because I've provided daily care for 1 million animals in my life, I was very suspect of when they started talking about a vaccine, because When we give, for example, a PRRS vaccine, which is porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome vaccine, we know that that pig will shed the virus to any other pig around them for up to 90 days. And so when they start talking about giving a live vaccine to people, again, I use air quotes, vaccine, I knew that it was going to be dangerous because it's going to be shedding virus. Now we're learning that it's shedding a T protein, which is possibly more dangerous than anything that could have happened with the virus.
Yeah. 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 People are losing their babies, all kinds of bleeding issues, really, really affecting both men and women, but it seems like particularly women. But that interview yesterday with those 4 women, who I think are amazing, and these are women that are jeopardizing their careers in the medical industry, because of what they're saying. And they need to be listened to, because this is very, very serious.
The growing number of true medical experts that are exercising a word of caution right now is alarming, and people should be paying attention instead of just lining up like sheep saying, treat me next.
Oh, Gates' head of program management for his program came out, what was it, a few days ago. I think it was Bosch is his name, Bosse. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but he is suggesting the postponement of all vaccines right now. And he's like the head pro-vaxxer in the world.
I did not see that, Clyde. So thanks for sharing.
I will send it to you.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, why don't we switch gears here a little bit and tell us about this amazing tour that you and Sasha Stone and Robert David Steele and Caroline Chang are putting together. It sounds amazing. From your side, how did you get involved with it? And tell me what you see happening, what the impact could be.
Well, I got involved because I had contacted Robert David Steele to be on my own radio program and talking about all of the issues at hand. And that was probably 2 months ago. And we maintained some communication. He introduced me to a common friend who I now bring on broadcast every single week, JC Cole from New Jersey. Okay. And then at one point in time, probably 6 weeks ago, Robert just called me and he said, Trent, you need to join us on this tour. And, initially it was probably like anybody would be, 111 days straight with 84 stops. Boy, that sounds like a great Disney movie, but that's not reality. I can't be a part of that.
Yeah.
And the more he talks, the more it's like, I can't not be a part of this, because the 1% is truly controlling the lives of the 99%. And Clyde, I'm very fortunate where I get the opportunity to go speak to audiences on a regular basis. In fact, in the last now 10 days, I've spoken in 6 states, and people are tired of it. They're tired of the 1% telling them how to live their lives, removing their personal freedoms and their liberty. And it all comes back to what I believe is the core of that is property rights. And so the opportunity for me to travel with this fantastic crew, we were on I didn't actually get to participate because we've had some internet issues in the past week. And I think a lot of people are starting to experience that. But I was supposed to address on the live stream Sunday about the 4th person. And I started by saying, I feel a little bit like a guy stepping to the plate after Babe Ruth, Hank Aaron, Mark McGwire, and Jose Canseco just hit home runs. And now what am I supposed to do? Right. But it really represents the diversity that's in this country. And this tour is not to go out and target or shed light on one particular segment of the United States. It is just that, the United States of America. And we want to empower people to stand up and get involved. Sheriff Richard Mack, another individual that's tremendously powerful and I think speaks volumes to how we get this country back. And that's at the local level. And I preach that as often as I can, that you need to know your county sheriff. You need to have the back of your county sheriff. Right. You need to contact your county officials. That's how we take this country back.
Yeah. We've got an organization where Constitutional Counties United.
Right.
We've been working with Sheriff Mack and Sheriff Lamb and Sheriff Jesse Watts, and all over the country, and we feel exactly the same way. It's one county at a time, and it's from the bottom up, and that's the only way to do it. And Sheriff Mack certainly plays a key role in that. I'm a member of the CSPOA and have been for a long time, and that's the way we got to do it. And that's love what you guys are doing and going to every state, right? And 85 different locations. Is that it? 84?
I say 84.
Yeah.
I don't think we really know. And
Yeah.
we're pretty confident on 48 states.
Right.
There's 2 that may be suspect, but the ideal would be all 50 states. Clyde, one other thing that I have done since I've been a part of this is that I'm the person on the tour that's involved in contacting the county sheriff, because we're not going to go into a county
Right.
without the county sheriff as a partner,
Right.
because we want them to know that we're bringing the message of this. The Constitution says you are here to protect your citizens. You are the ultimate authority in this county. And so I'm reaching out to every county sheriff, and will not go into a county unless the county sheriff is our partner in that endeavor. And because of that, on the tour, I've actually started doing that in my speaking engagements. And in Payne County, Oklahoma, Stillwater, Oklahoma, we had Sheriff Harper 2 weeks ago. Last week in Fergus County, Montana, Lewistown, Montana, we had Sheriff Vaughn there. And it's just a wonderful approach. And I'm glad that we get back to the basics.
And what we need to do is, if people don't have what we consider a constitutional sheriff, they need to get one. And that needs to be a priority. There are sheriffs in this country that don't realize that their role is to protect their constituents and their constitutional rights. And it's absolutely vital that people understand that that's got to be a priority if they want to get their county back, is to get a sheriff that understands his role as the protector of their rights and their constitutional rights. Would you agree with that?
But it's no accident, Clyde, that the sheriff is an elected position. Forefathers actually had great vision in that. I don't know that they were as good of visionaries as we give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
It's the fact that they were living through this tyranny, and they knew what they had experienced, and they tried to put together a document to prevent it. And they gave all the power to the people. And then until we sacrifice that power, it works fantastic. But once you become complacent and take everything for granted and don't engage in the representative republic, you get the hand you're dealt.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Yeah. And they knew that too. If like Franklin said, we gave you a republic, man, if you can keep it. And,
it's up to you to screw it up.
It's up to you to screw it up. And the way you screw it up is by not being vigilant, and if people aren't vigilant, then they lose it. Well, there's one of my favorite quotes from Jefferson speaks to this. It's on the back of my Common Sense Revisited. This is one of my favorite quotes. The spirit of our times will alter. This is right at the end of the War of Independence. He wrote this. Our rulers will become corrupt, our people careless. From the conclusion of this war, we shall be going downhill. It will not then be necessary to resort every moment to the people for support. They will be forgotten, therefore, and their rights disregarded. They will forget themselves, but in the sole faculty of making money, and will never think of uniting to effect a due respect for their rights. The shackles, therefore, will be made heavier and heavier till our rights shall revive or expire in a convulsion. Think about that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Did he see where we are right now?
Absolutely.
I mean, he did. He saw it at the end of the Revolutionary War. He wrote this, and that the shackles, therefore, will be made heavier and heavier till our rights shall revive or expire in a convulsion. If we're not in a convulsion right now, I don't know what else you'd call it. And, we have the forces of good and evil, and the dark and the light on one side and the other. And, we're living through it right now. And what you guys are doing is great. I mean, we all have to do everything we can to wake up and reinstall the fundamental principles that our government they gave us. You're right. It's there. We just need to make it, make people adhere to it. And boy, they are doing everything they can to, bring in a whole new way of life from what our founders gave us. And then a lot of it, I think, is through the UN and these NGOs. It's a foreign ideology. It's an ideology of socialism and globalism and control from the top down. Whereas, our principles were based on bottom up. People have the rights, people have the power, well, local government, all that.
We the people, and we have a fire in our belly right now to make a difference, and that's what it's going to take. And I might mention, Clyde, this tour is 100% about the United States and patriotism and taking our country back. But I do pay attention because I have great friends. I've spoken to audiences in 5 Canadian provinces. They have a serious problem north of the border as well. Someone should ask the question, why is it that we have an open border on the south? In fact, we're inviting people, we're putting them up in hotels, we're spending great money to bring people in illegally across the south border, and families can't cross the north border to see each other. We have this illegal immigration coming into the country, and my friends in agriculture that rely on legal immigration to get the food produced, which about 20% of the U.S. workforce is immigrants, legal immigrants, but they still have a Department of Labor and Immigration breathing down their neck to make sure their employees are legal at the same time that they're encouraging illegals to come into the country.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to ask the question, what's really going on here? And I'm not saying that they should just allow illegal immigrants to work on farms. What I'm saying is the United States Constitution is the supreme law of the land. We don't need immigration reform. We just need to enforce the policies that we currently have. That's where we start.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. So how do people find out about this tour?
BigBatUSA.org is the place where we have information. I'm starting to compile information on my own blog spot, and that is loosetales.blogspot.com.
Okay.
I think that in today's big tech world, if they find a threat, they work at squashing it.
Yeah.
There is not one cohesive place that gives you every answer that you want, Clyde, and that's because we've already experienced some restrictions and some challenges, because this tour is going to make the difference this country needs, and there will be people trying to kill it as quickly as they possibly can. So Rise USA, the Resurrection Tour, constitutional counties, faith, family, freedom. What else matters?
All right, that's beautiful. So the bigbat.org.
BigBatUSA.org.
BigbatUSA.org, everybody.
Correct.
Okay. And then Arise USA Resurrection.
Arise USA, the Resurrection Tour.
The Resurrection Tour. Okay.
Yep. Constitutional counties, faith, family, freedom.
All right. That is very awesome. And I am going to do everything I can, get the word out on this. I'd like to come to as many of the events as possible. And I think everyone needs to get out and support this and get the word out. And I kind of see it as that event in Tulsa that Clay put on.
Correct.
With all those amazing speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Was, to me, it switched the momentum. It's like the forces of light and love and unity, what you guys are all about is unity. I love the unity consciousness concept of you guys are pushing. It's like those forces were on the defense. And then that event in Tulsa was just so amazing. I didn't get to go there in person, but I was watching it, a lot of it. And you could just feel things shift. And I feel like now our forces are on the offense. I really do. I think something switched there. and you guys are just making that so that it's the next step in continuing that momentum.
I might mention at bigbatusa.org, there is a map of the path. And I would encourage anybody that wants to be a part of it to look at that map. Now, the map itself has stops in the major cities. I don't anticipate that we'll actually have the events in the major cities, but within 100 miles of those major cities.
Right.
And as the person that's in charge of ground command, if you have the idea of an outdoor venue, maybe an airport hangar, maybe a football field, if the school will allow us to go there, a fairgrounds or some event where we can bring Americana to the people and let the people just be the community, because there's an open mic 1 hour segment at every stop for local people. This is not about somebody touring the country telling you how to think. There's a 1 hour open mic for local people, whether you be an artist, maybe Clyde, maybe you want to come and sing, want to sing the national anthem for us or something.
Right.
There'll be that opportunity. It's about the people.
There's a guy you need to meet. I'm going to put you in touch with. His name is Brett Bowl. He calls himself Ohio Brett. He's doing almost everything you're doing in every county in Ohio. He's going to, I think it's 88 counties in Ohio, doing the whole thing. So he gets the hang, like you just said, airplane hangars a lot of times, sometimes used car dealer lots. But I'm gonna send you guys an introductory email.
Awesome.
Today,
Thank you.
And he's doing the same thing. He's starting to go bleed over into Pennsylvania counties, and he's going to do Florida next after he's done in Ohio. So anyway, I want you guys to talk. He'll be able to help a lot.
I wonder if Brett needs a sense of direction. Wouldn't it be smart to do Florida in the winter and then go to Ohio, Pennsylvania in summer?
Well, he's down here a lot too. He has a girlfriend here. So
okay,
yeah.
good.
If you see the motivation to move to Florida. So anyway,
it's good to know that hormones still work in the right ways.
Yeah. I don't think the quote vaccine can mess with that too much. All right. Well, listen, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Good luck on the tour. Good luck with everything you guys are doing. I'm fully supportive. Anything I can do, I will do to support this event.
All right. I'm going to hold you to that, because at some point in time, I'm going to say, Clyde, you remember when you said anything I can do to help support the event? I'm there. I'll call on you.
Oh, man, it's recorded too.
Forever and ever.
All right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Have a wonderful day. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you all soon.